Good evening. I'd like to call this board meeting to order, please, and welcome all our visitors here tonight. Now I ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Harold Brown.
Present.
Maxine Drew.
Present.
Annie Humphreys.
Present.
Brenda Jones.
Present.
Wanda Brownlee Page.
Present.
Lavinia Wynn.
Here.
Stacy Yeager.
Present.
Thank you. Could we all stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, before we go for the approval, you have, Dr. Nguyen has like to add something to the agenda.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to motion to add one item that would be entitled Discussion of the Report from the Investigation by Vicki Harris concerning alleged discriminatory employment practices.
Okay.
Do you need a second?
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposing? Hearing none, so ordered.
And then, Madam President, I have a second motion to add to the agenda, discussion of the results of state assessments.
Motion been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposing? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you. Now, I'll take a motion now for the approval of the agenda with the added.
So moved.
Motion been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposing? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you. Communications, Dr. Lane, please.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jones. Good evening, Board. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have the opportunity to start my day this morning with Mrs. Humphreys, Ms. Drew, Dr. Strickland, and members of the Diploma Plus team as we gathered at KU Edwards campus to celebrate our brand new partnership for the Degree in 3 program. What this means is that we now have a partnership with the community college that leads our students to KU Edwards so they might finish their bachelor's degree in 3 years. So we are very excited about that. So Board, you have in your Board docs copies of the proclamation from today. Just want to share with you some of the partners that were in the room for the event this morning and offer an opportunity for Ms. Humphreys or Ms. Drew to make any comments. But the partnership was an outgrowth of our steering committee for Diploma Plus. Dr. David Cook, who's the Vice Chancellor at the KU Edwards campus, initiated the process with his team. And from his work, the President of Johnson County Community College, Dr. Joseph Sopcich, was present. Our new Kansas City, Kansas Community College President, Dr. Greg Mosier, Dr. Kimberly Beatty, who's the Chancellor at Metropolitan Community College, Dr. Todd White from Blue Valley, Dr. Dennis Carpenter from Lee Summit, Dr. Jessica Dane from Olathe, Dr. Cheryl Reichert, who is from Raytown, and Dr. Kenny Southwick, who's the interim superintendent in Shawnee Mission. So we are excited for our students that they have the opportunity to start their college degree while with us in high school as part of Diploma Plus and working through the community college, then stepping on to KU Edwards campus to finish their degrees. So any comments, Ms.
Just
Humphreys?
that it's really great. We're going to get some more of these flyers, hopefully, so we can pass them out to everyone. But you can go to their website. It's degreein3.ku.edu, and it can show you all about what's offered and explains how to go about doing it. It's really great for our kids because it's exciting when they can get their associate's degree so quickly, but to also be able to do that in 3 years, or as the gentleman that spoke
Mr. Eric, he's going to do it in 2.5.
Actually, his bachelor's degree.
His bachelor's, yeah, he'll have his in 2.5 years instead of the 3. So that's really, really exciting for our kids.
Drew, anything you want to add?
Well, I was impressed with the idea of hearing firsthand of a student who actually is in the program and the positive things that were being said about it. And so it was a way for me to help students understand it's a way in which they can take a path of success and know that they don't have to wait so long, but if they stay focused, that they can come out and then be very successful in their future life.
Thank you both for attending. It was great to have you there. So, Ms. Jones, I'd like to present to you, as president of the board, an official copy of the proclamation of our engagement in the Degree in 3 program. And not to leave our president and his recent events out, we also have a pin that represents the signing of this agreement. So there you go. Congratulations. Very nice. Last week, along with Ms. Lisa Garcia Stewart and members of her team, I had the opportunity to hear a report from the Cookingham Institute of Urban Affairs, which is located on the campus of UMKC. The report was about the impact of our Impact ACK, formerly known as Impact Wednesday project, to ensure that our young people have stable housing. Board, you might remember not long ago, about 2.5 years ago, we had more than 1,400 children who were identified as homeless in our McKinney-Vento program. Ms. Garcia and this board joined forces with Avenue of Life to do something about that, and that project has grown to be amazingly impactful. So Cookingham gathered us all together to share findings of the research that they did on the impact of that report. And I'm so pleased to be able to share with the board and this community that in 2.5 years, under the leadership of Lisa Garcia and in partnership with Avenue of Life, we have decreased our homeless rate among our students by nearly 50%. Congratulations. So this report will be shared with individuals around the nation, and I know you're getting calls already to find out how other communities can emulate the work here, so very well done. Board, in your packet you also have a copy of the Kansas Association of School Boards legislative overview that many of you had the opportunity to attend last week. This is invaluable information, so we scanned a copy of it into your board docs, so you might forward it on to interested patrons about the impact of school finance on our schools across the state. So I wanted you to have that at your disposal. We also have put in your board docs copies of the Diploma Plus white paper and our white paper outlining our at-risk program. Sent that to you early last week, but wanted you to have an electronic copy that you could share or refer people to in your board library. And you also have a copy of our emergency operations plan, which I pray that we never have to implement. But we are being prepared in case the Supreme Court does rule that the school finance was not adequate and that they determine that they will not allow schools to operate past June 30. So in the essence of being cautious and being prepared, your administrative team at the district level has revised their plan in case we have a temporary closure of schools. Wanted you to have that at your disposal. It is in your executive section of your documents because there are some safety and security items that are there that we would not want to fully disclose. But please look at that, and if you have questions or comments, let me know. If we get to the point where we have to implement, we'll gather so you know detail by detail how we'll respond to that. I wanted you to have a copy of that report. Also, board, you have items that responded to many of your recent requests. Dr. Yeager asked for a report of resignations by location. You have that in your board docs. When we were at J.E. Dunn on May the 10th, you had some questions about their workforce, their training, and their capacity for hiring a more diverse workforce. And so you have the information there from J.E. Dunn in response to your inquiries. And then you also have a copy of the executive summary of the investigative report done by Vicki Harris. I'll park my comments until your agenda item on that, but that is also available for your review. So, one final thing, Board, tomorrow morning, 7:30, shotgun start of the KCK Schools Foundation Golf Tournament. This is the tournament that our foundation sponsors, which raises over $100,000 towards scholarships for our young people. We'd love to have you out there with us greeting our golfers in the morning or at lunch or in the evening for dinner. So wanted to remind you that that's all day tomorrow. And thank you to Ms. Westfall and her team who do so much work to make that happen. Thank you, Ms. Westfall.
Thank you, Dr. Lane. It's been such a busy month already. This past weekend, I attended the KSAB Executive Board meeting that was held Friday night. They recognized the employees of KSAB years of service, and we had dinner, and then the next we had we welcomed 3 or 4 new board members, and we had our regular meeting. So I sit there as the executive vice president for this district. So that meeting was this week. And as you recall, last meeting, we got our delegate for the legislative and the nominating. So that's been done. I thank you. Any other board members have any? Okay. Well, thank you. Community comment. We have Betty Maddox. Is he running the clock?
Good afternoon to everybody in the board.
Good afternoon.
Betty Maddox, I'm a community advocate. I'm speaking for several organizations within the community. Our main concern right now is the superintendent, the choosing of the superintendent. And I understand that a consultant was chosen to seek other people for the position of superintendent. And am I correct in saying that this is the first time that this has ever happened in regards to this position? Can someone answer that for me, please?
That's the first time.
I think we've used a consultant before, although it's been some time. We didn't use one the last time we selected a superintendent, but I think we did it on one previous occasion. Several previous occasions, as Susan corrects me.
I think we used KASB.
Yeah, we've used consultants in the past.
Is this one within the city or is it outside of the city?
This consultant is outside of the city.
Who makes the decision for this? Is it a committee on the board that does this, or does the community have any input?
The board selected a consultant after they did a RFQ, request for qualifications or proposals, from a variety of consultants. They got I think we had about 5 to 6 responses, and then the board selected the consulting firm they were going to use.
Will the community have any input in regards to having questions or being able to having input in the choosing of the superintendent? Or is it totally the board all the way?
It's ultimately a board decision. It's up to the board as to how they make that decision or what community input they get to make that decision.
The reason I'm speaking for the community is we're very disappointed in the way this, the way that the selection of the superintendent is being held, because none of them knew anything about the way it was posted, if it was posted or if it was passed down to someone, or where they, we didn't get any input that you were in the process of choosing superintendents. Was it put in the paper, or because none of us saw it in the paper, and if so, what paper was it put into?
information did go out to invite the community. They had a session here, I can't give you the exact date, and invited everyone to come, give their input, what they were looking for.
How
They
long
asked
ago
the
was that?
students, like I said, I couldn't give you the exact date. If our,
Melissa,
yeah, can give you the date
Okay.
when the paper went out.
she's getting it.
Okay.
Well, the community is saying that the selection of the superintendent was not well communicated, or, and the proper guidelines for a professional person of this type was not put out there for them to be aware of it. Where are you now in the selection of a superintendent? Or how many, and also how many have you interviewed or are going to interview?
Can we tell them?
Can we answer that? Greg, please.
Yeah, the board has interviewed several candidates so far. They're going to interview 6 candidates, and then from there, they will be finalists that would be selected that will be subject to further interviews by the board before a selection. That's the process that's set up right now.
Who makes the final decision?
The board.
Will the community have any input, or will they be able to sit in on any of it? Is that the normal procedure?
The current process that's being followed is that the interviews under the personnel exception to the Open Meetings Act are being held in executive session, and that's at the suggestion of the consultant to respect the confidentiality of the applicants at this point. I believe that once the finalists are selected, those will be announced to the community, although again, the final interviews, as I understand it, currently will take place in an executive session.
Are there guidelines that I could get a copy of it, or do you give a guidelines out to anybody, or is that totally with the board?
That's up to the board.
In the selection?
It's up to the board. If we want to put out our process, we can do that.
Can I get a copy of it?
Let-
Since it's left up to the board? Is that proper procedure?
Madam President, I would suggest that we would consider doing that in a discussion in executive session.
Okay. We will get back to you and let you know.
Okay. I just want you to know that the community is not happy about and the way it was carried on, because the word did not get out to a number of them that this was happening, and that's why I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Patty Jurett. Oh, there. Miss PTA.
I'm a shorty. I'm sorry. I want to thank you for letting me come before the board this afternoon. This evening, I should say. I'm still afternoon for me. My name is Patty Urich. I'm a parent of students who have went through the school system, District 500. I'm also a grandparent with children in this district at 3 of our different schools. I've been volunteering in District 500 for 32 years now, and through my children's schools as well as my council, which I've had 28 years in that, and I've been served as president for 7 of those, as well as numerous other things, and I've been, this district is very important to me. I'm also active at our state level through Kansas PTA, and have served on several state committees through the Department of Education representing Kansas PTA, including a few years back the social, emotional, and character development team, where we went in and we developed the standards that were adopted, as well as a workbook to help the teachers and the administrators to give them suggestions on ways that they can implement those standards. I'm currently on the teacher licensure committee with Kansas Department of Education, and I'm getting ready to start a 2-year term on the Kansas Department of Education's Professional Standards Board. I do believe in public education and the opportunities that it can give all of our children, and that is the reason why I'm before you here today. USD 500 impacts the lives of all children in our community, whether you have them at school age or grandchildren. Our students are our future workforce in Wyandotte County. The success of our students directly impacts the current and future economy, and finding the right superintendent for our district, the right fit for us, is crucial for this. Engaged families and communities lead to more successful students and benefit the entire community. It is vitally important that the candidates for superintendent hear directly from the community. We would like the opportunity to share what we hope for our students, why our students deserve the best possible education, challenges that need to be addressed, and what the community will expect from them, and to also find out what it is that they are going to bring to the table. Therefore, I would like to implore you to schedule a meet and greet, sort of, if you will. It could be called a social, whatever, that we, the community members, can meet with these finalists that you guys narrow it down to prior to your making the final selection. That way we can ask them questions, they can share, what their experiences are, what they bring to the table. I know that I was talking with a friend of mine over in Shawnee Mission, and she said that they did one of these back in February, and it was very successful. I understand Lawrence did one in January, and that Tonganoxie also did one in April. And so I know that it's something that can be very effective, so I would like to borrow what they have done and have it for us, because there's a lot of us that would like to have some weigh-in on what's going on. We are all concerned with finding the best person to serve as our new superintendent, and we just feel, I personally do, and I know many people who I work with in PTA, because we're all talking, we just feel that we should have the opportunity to give input on this process. And thank you.
Thank you. All right, community updates. Carol Levers, the Public Library.
Good evening, Mrs. Jones.
Good evening.
Board, Dr. Lane. I would like the youth supervisors to come up and just give you some insight of what's happening or what's going to happen during the summer. But as they come up, right on next to you, a package for each of you. I just wanted to share with you that we will be continuing the history lecture series. The first one will be Sour Castle. We also we're collaborating with the Catholic charities that will help us to establish some citizen classes, and that will start Wednesday, July 25th, Wednesdays and Thursdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's July 25th through September 27th. And we continue with our GED preparation classes. That usually fills up, quickly, and we need people to RSVP if they're interested. Those will be Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. starting September 3rd. And all these three are at the main library, just for your information. And now, our youth services supervisors.
Thank you.
Just introduce yourselves.
Good evening. I'm Kim Patton. I am the Youth Services Supervisor at the main branch.
I'm Rachel Miller. I'm the Youth Services Supervisor at South.
My name is Jacqueline Belden. I am the Youth Services Supervisor at the West Wyandotte Public Library.
And we're just going to tell you a little bit about our summer reading program. Okay. We have a slideshow and a little video to show you. All right. Okay. Our theme this year is Libraries Rock, which we really love. We don't get to choose the theme. It's chosen by a multi-state collaboration. So it's a national theme, but it fits us, and we are very happy with it. Our staff has put a lot of work into all aspects of this, and every year we do a video, and this year's video is so exceptional that I wanted to make sure that you
Hold on.
saw it. Maybe.
No, in the middle. Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Here it comes.
School is out, and Are You Reading knows just what he is going to do this summer. His grandma gave him a new ukulele, and he can't wait to play it. Uh-oh, there is just one problem. RU doesn't actually know how to play the ukulele. How is he going to learn? RU has a great idea. he can go to the library. At the library, he can check out books about the ukulele, he can watch instructional videos on the computers, and he can even attend free programs to learn how to play. By checking out books, reading, and attending programs, RU can also participate in the summer reading program and earn awesome prizes. This summer, you can join RU Reading at the library to learn more about whatever you are passionate about while participating in the summer reading program and earning awesome prizes. Take a summer reading log home from school or pick one up from the library. Then fill your log out with the books you read and the activities you complete. Or you can visit kckpl.beanstack.org to fill out the log online. Then visit one of the library's 5 locations or 3 mobile libraries to receive your prizes. When you turn in your log, you will earn prizes like free books, toys, earbuds, coupons for local businesses, and more. You can even earn library bucks, which you can use to pay off library fines or to enter grand prize drawings for things like Kindle Fire tablets, Royals tickets, Worlds of Fun tickets, or even your very own ukulele. You can even earn points towards prizes just by attending fun programs at the library. This summer, we'll have story times, crafts, science demonstrations, magic shows, musical performances, and much, much more. It all gets started with exciting summer reading kickoff parties, taking place at each branch at the end of May and beginning of June. Check out the library's website at www.kckpl.org for more information, including a calendar of events. We hope to see all of you at the library this summer. Together, we can all keep reading and learning this summer while having fun. Because as RU and his friends know, libraries rock. And don't forget, the summer reading program is fun for all ages. RU and his grandma can both participate and share stories together.
That's all right.
So we use that video to promote the summer reading program at all of our school visits that we go to. We share it with our patrons. We share it. It's on YouTube, so people in the community can access it. So lots of people get to see it, so we're very proud of it. And Rachel spearheaded it this year, and it was all filmed at South, and they did a great job. We start planning summer reading in October. Really, summer reading never stops for us. So in October, we look over everything that went right, what went wrong for the previous year. We start splitting up jobs and decide who's going to handle donations, and who's going to do grant writing, and who's going to purchase books, and who's going to purchase prizes, and all the big and little jobs that we have to do so that we can get everything in line for the next summer. Then we do promotion. We spend the whole spring going to every school, every class that we can. Each branch has their own service area, and each branch handles several different school visits. We typically send out notices to all the schools in our service areas, and then encourage them all to let us come out and visit them. We never get all of the schools, but we get closer and closer every year. So as you can see on your slide, we have done lots of school visits, and we've made contact with lots of our students this year, and it's starting to show because they're coming in droves to participate in summer reading. And then once everything gets going, each branch has their own kickoff party, which it's a big festivity. At Maine, we close the street off and have a big street fair. All of us have a big entertainer, from national entertainers like Jim Cosgrove to fire eaters and dancers and all kinds of performers. We have bouncy houses and snacks and crafts, and it's a good family atmosphere for kids to come in, get excited, and get some exposure to the library before everything starts. And these are all just pictures of all the wonderful things that happened at some of our kickoff parties this year. This year, we're doing a special effort to enhance our outreach services. Typically, we make contact with Kids Zone and the summer schools and Parks and Rec, and we encourage them to participate with their kids. This year, again, Rachel is doing something special. She's made contact with everyone again, and she's encouraging them to let her come out and bring a tub of books and stories and a craft. And she's had several takers. Several more are in the wings waiting to scheduling their video.
Last week when we turned this in, they're done.
So
I've
see,
been to some of them already.
she's hard at work at that. She's going all over the city with her little tubs of books and her crafts, and I'd like to see what kind of mileage she puts on her poor little car when she's done. But we will be able to really spread the word about summer reading and get that many more kids involved, and so that's a great thing. We can't do this just on the library budget or the money that we get from our foundation, so we work really hard to be able to have the money that we want for prizes and for incentives and to keep our program going. Typically, we get about $17,000 in donations. That covers the Worlds of Fun tickets and the Royals games and, some of those coupons for tacos and prizes that we get. This year, Jacob and Rachel, Jacob is one of our youth services people at Turner, they have managed to get $35,000 in donations this year. So they have worked extremely hard. We have more prizes than we've ever had, which just keeps the kids that much more excited. So we're glad to see that happen. So in your packets, you all have copies of the summer reading logs. You have them in English and you have them in Spanish. So if you'd like to share them with little ones in your family, that would be great. We also added adult summer reading program logs because we have an adult program and it's really taking off this year. So we're hoping to encourage you all to participate in the adult summer reading program because adults get prizes too for the books that they read. So that is about it, and if you have any questions, we would be happy to answer them.
I just want to say great job. I went to the one at West. Brought some kids with me, lots of kids, and we all signed up and ate, and I think Spider-Man and Black Panther was there too. Superheroes. It was so fun. But I really applaud you because it was so well organized. The kids had fun. The adults got to sit in the shade while the kids ran amok. It was fun. But just thank you for that. It was just really nice how it was organized and it was so streamlined. And the kids had such a blast just being in there. And like you said, it was a special guest and they loved seeing them race up and down that bouncy house over and over. So just thank you. It was just a wonderful experience.
Oh, that's good to hear. Good.
And I have to say that after spending 3 days a week in the library with the grandkids, you guys always do a marvelous job of getting new people in to entertain them and to get them hooked on books. And this dates me, but I have 3 RU readings one for each grandchild. When they first came out with him, that was a hot item. But you work very hard, and we really appreciate the way you get our kids enthused about reading during the summer.
Thank you.
Oh, one more thing. I appreciate you having the online access that we can enter the books instead of keeping track of paper. I love, that's my best part, that you can just go online and register the books that you read rather than have to track it on paper. So I thank you for that technology.
Thank you. That's good to hear.
Yeah, what's the forgiveness coupon?
Well, we're a library system that charges fines, right. And it's a barrier for kids who don't have the money to pay for their fines. If you get too many fines, you can't use your library card. So this way they can read they can read their fines away. Mm-hmm. They read books, they come to programs, they get these dollar coupons, they can use those to pay for fines and they don't have to use money. Right. So it's a two-way street for us. It keeps them involved, it keeps them using the library.
Okay, good, that's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we'll have reports of the superintendent.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Thank you very much. We're ready for item A, and we ask that you accept a report on the district's substitute recruiting and hiring process as submitted by Mr. Thompson.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Madam President, Board, Dr. Lane, Superintendent. I'm Walter Thompson, and I'm the interim assistant superintendent overseeing the HR department. Two of my colleagues tonight will present with you. First will be Stephanie Peppers, and she will be reporting on our our sub-recruiting program. I would like to ask the board to listen carefully, give our presenters an opportunity to complete their presentation to you, and then afterwards, would you be able to answer questions of them? Thank you. Ms. Peppers?
Good evening, Board. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. So, my name is Stephanie Pepper. I was born and raised in New York. I moved to Kansas City in 2007, which is where I have my human resource degree here from Park University. I began my HR degree at a law firm in Kansas City. From there, I moved with my husband to a rural town in western Nebraska. And that town is where my passion for people merged with my passion for education. Like so many in this room, I found myself in a classroom. Little old me, a middle-class woman born to parents with limited education, had the ability to shape the minds of young people. It was the most challenging yet rewarding years of my life. Once I returned to Kansas City, I was determined to continue to impact the lives of young people while having a direct impact on who was serving our children. In my 2 short years with the district, I've worked on many projects, taken on extra roles, and created efficiencies where they were needed. 2 weeks ago, I accepted my most exciting position of my career to manage the substitute program for Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools. Board, I am excited to share with you my process in transitioning the substitutes back to the district. Our goal for this year is to have 100% fill rate. We feel we can secure 200 subs before the start of the school year. Our goal is to have 400 by the end of this academic year. To date, we have 168 applicants, out of which 100 are currently being onboarded. Our target recruiting audience is anyone who has completed 60 college credit hours or holds a professional teaching license. Emergency substitutes are the day-to-day substitutes that require 60 semester credit hours from an accredited college or university. A standard sub has held a professional teaching license or completed an education program. Based on those qualifications, we're encouraging eligible candidates to apply on the district website. Each applicant is personally contacted via phone to discuss pay, answer questions, and conditional offers are then extended. Conditional offers are contingent upon the passing of a criminal background check and a TB test. Once all required information has been received and approved, substitutes will be required to attend a workshop training. Substitutes will be paid $150 a day. The long-term rate is $175. To qualify for a long-term pay, a person needs to be in a continuous position for 15 consecutive days. For those that are not in a long-term position and fill our hard-to-fill days, Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, we'll pay $155 for those days. For those teachers that are interested in coming back and subbing for us after retirement, CAPERS does have some penalties. If they retire at the age of 62 or older, they have to wait 60 days before they're allowed to come back and sub. For anybody who retires before 62, they have a 180-day waiting period. CAPERS also assesses penalties up to 30% on all wages earned after retirement. Our job selection process, how substitutes will be selecting positions each day. They will begin to receive calls at 5:30 a.m. for same-day unfilled positions. Every evening, beginning at 5:50, they will receive calls for future dated positions. They can also contact the substitute staffing team here in-house starting at 1 p.m. for any future dated positions. So how do we get to 400 or more subs? with our continued recruiting efforts. In April, we placed recruiting flyers in all of our district buildings. We have partnered with our recruiting department to post on job boards to Missouri, Kansas colleges, and universities. To date, we have attended 3 job fairs. We are currently calling all subs who have not applied yet worked in our district last year. And in closing, I am looking for support and assistance in our ongoing efforts in recruiting subs. You may ask yourself how you can help. Do you have friends, families, neighbors who may have 60 college credit hours? I urge you to partner with me. Spread the word about the great work that we are doing in the district and how our community can also be a part of it. Board, I believe that together we can accomplish great things. I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board, before your questions, I just want to reinforce, Ms. Peppers has been in her role for 2 weeks. Outstanding job so far, Ms. Peppers.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say I want to thank you for having such a sincere, clear directive on what you're trying to do. And I'm just looking forward to hearing more positive things. And if there's anything I can do, I am willing to work with you.
Absolutely.
And I will be in touch.
I would love to get recruiting information out to you, some recruiting flyers that you can hand out to the constituents and your friends. Please pass out my information.
Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, ma'am.
Hi. Thank you again. And I wanted to make a comment about the communications relating to the timeliness of notifying the public of when there are open houses for the substitute opportunities. So I saw on our website there was an opportunity last Thursday, but I did notice it was there until a Tuesday, in which I reached out and contacted and said, hey, can we get this published on Facebook or social media? Because generally people tend to not go, as you know, I'm in HR background as well, but people tend to not go to a website to actively look for something within that week. But is there a way or a strategy you've thought of to get notifications out a little sooner?
That's a great question.
Based upon what you know, and I know it probably is a futuristic thing, but just some ideas that, since you have a background in HR, have you thought about getting the word out? And since you know the community, how can we balance that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our recruiting efforts are done with our recruiting team and partnerships with our recruiting team in-house. Since I did take my position 2 weeks ago, it has been kind of last minute as to whether I've been able to clear my calendar to attend some of those. So we do apologize for the late notice. I do anticipate continuing to contact subs, like I said, that have worked in our district prior, tracking those that potentially leave, reaching out to applicants that have applied for positions but maybe not selected, but still have an interest in working in the district and retaining those individuals. I think using some of our local Facebook pages for local Wyandotte, We Are Piper. I have a great relationship with Olathe School District and work very closely with them and their sub-program, and so we're talking about recruiting together. Where they go, we kind of go to try and maximize the amount of people that we get.
Great. And so, last question, what is our backup plan? So you have the goals in place for 400.
Absolutely.
So what is our backup plan? What is the contingency plan if we do not get that 400 so that we can reach that 100% goal that we have?
Yeah. We don't, to be totally honest, have a contingency plan. Last year, Morgan Hunter had 400 active subs, out of which right now we have 168. Not all of those 168 have worked for Morgan Hunter. So we have the capacity to tap into an additional 250 interested applicants. And so I strongly believe that with hard work and some cold calling that we'll be able to get there.
Okay, great. And again, I'm on board with you.
Great.
And I have lots of ideas. So
I would love to work with you. Yes.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got a quick question.
Yes,
Great job, by the way.
Thank
Could you explain your absence management process?
Sure. Absent management in terms of?
Of substitutes that you contact relative to their availability.
Sure. So absent management is the software system that we use. So teachers enter their absences. Those absences then get called out by the absent management system. It's an automated system. And then my staff daily will be in office beginning to call those subs. So subs have the option to select positions via phone. So they're called, like I said, beginning at 5:50 till 9 p.m. and then beginning at 5:30, and they can elect to pick up a position. In addition, we contact them, and then they also have the ability to sit at home from the comforts of their couch or bed and select positions on their cell phone or from a computer. Yes.
Okay, I had a couple of questions too. Again, thank you, and thank you for telling us a little bit about yourself and your credentials, because I think that's important.
Thank you.
Can you tell me, because I've gotten a lot of phone calls from past retirees, and they want to know, will they be paid weekly, like Morgan Hunter, or is it every 2 weeks? Is it once a month? How does that work?
So every time I am contacting an employee or a rehire or somebody who's coming on board, I do let them know we are paid semi-monthly, so the 15th and the last day of the month, in alignment with district pay.
Okay. Then another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Mathers, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you were, when we did the budget, talked about the insurance for the subs. Is that something, I didn't see it in your presentation.
Yeah.
Is that something you're offering?
So substitutes would not be eligible for benefits their first year. They have to work an average of 30 hours a week in order to be eligible for benefits. We will do a look-back period, but they have to be in the position for 12 months, so they wouldn't be eligible for benefits till next school year.
And this, with your particular process, you're not testing
That is
the
correct.
way the others did?
That is correct. There's no testing.
Okay, can you give me a rationale for that?
Yeah. We feel as though that deterred a lot of subs. We heard a lot of negative feedback about the testing, and so they have subbed in this district for a very long time. We appreciate their service and their continued service to our students in the community. And so we felt as though doing our standard onboarding procedure that we do for all applicants would be applicable in this case.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, again, thank you. Let me follow up on a couple. Now, the testing component, in my opinion, makes sense for someone who has been here, and it's been teaching. But if someone comes in off the street, how are you going to approach that?
Yeah. So we, at this point, have had very little interest from those that have not subbed in our district. All applicants, except for 2 at this point, so all 166 have subbed in the past, have been certified teachers, and so with their credentials and their license at this time, we feel as though that.
Right. So as you continue to grow and expand, I'd appreciate for you to put it into your presentation, because you've added the meat in your responses, but it probably would have been strong if you would have had some of those responses here. And as you grow, I guess are you the only person dealing with substance?
I am not. I'm actually heading the team. We've hired 1 person, and I'm actively recruiting for a second. So we will be a 3-person team.
Okay. And then I'm going to channel Dr. Yeager over here.
Yes.
There is an electronic platform for the people to see what's available on a daily basis.
Correct.
And that's not the absent management.
Yes, the absent management system is where the subs go in and access the positions available in the district for them.
That wasn't clear on your
Yes.
presentation either.
Okay.
And just one last rhetorical thing. And this is probably, you're not making or are you? Do you determine the Monday, Wednesday, Friday pay?
And by determine, can you clarify that?
It's 155 compared to 150.
That was an executive decision.
Okay. In your opinion, doesn't that encourage and/or related to teachers taking off on those days?
Those are actually our highest absenteeism days in general. And so the purpose behind that was to create an incentive to have subs be available to fill those jobs.
Now, Wednesday, you're there half a day, and they still get
Correct.
155?
It would be reduced.
Reduced, okay.
Correct.
So, there's just a need for a little bit more clarity and more details.
Okay.
So I appreciate that, but thank you.
Absolutely.
Because we've been responding to people and wanting to know what to say.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Board.
Anything else, Ms. Jones?
I didn't give you my background, but I'll wait.
He said he'd give you his background.
Thompson. Thank you very much, Ms. Peppers. I think you have the record now for being able to come share with the board so early in your new role. We appreciate it very much. Board, we're ready for item B, and we ask that you accept as a first read the proposed employee handbook as submitted by Mr. Thompson and Jody Mitchell and Amy Troyer.
Again, Board, thank you for this opportunity. Reporting to you today is Jody Mitchell, who is Director and Head of Classified Personnel.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Lane. So I am before you this evening to review and discuss our district employee handbook for the 18-19 school year as a first read. And so I'd like to first provide some information surrounding the handbook. So we designed the employee handbook to provide a general overview for our employees to organize specific information kind of in one place and in one document so that they don't have to go, if they're looking up board policies or looking up information, that they can find it in one source. It's important to note, however, that certified employees that are covered under the negotiated contract would, of course, always refer to their contract if things differ for them. But it can be used for all employees regardless of position. Our employee handbook was developed during the 16-17 school year with the assistance of our Meet and Confer Committee and Mr. Goheen. The Meet and Confer group assisted really in just providing us with the employee feedback on what is important to them, what board policies they would like to see highlighted in the document, as well as kind of formatting the document for ease of review and that sort of thing. But many of the items that are covered are cited or directly from board policy. For about 40% of the handbook is just board policy that we just simply cut and pasted. So that was important as well. But other things were chosen based on information that was important to them, and then just general Q&A that we were receiving from payroll processes, timekeeping procedures, things that we were hearing a lot of questions on, we put in the document as well, just for employees, because they were asking, simply. So the previous board approved the current version that we're using now about a year ago, and that has been in use for this school year. It was rolled out to our staff in July of 2017. And then any new employees that joined the district within this current year received the handbook as part of their onboarding process. The handbook is available to employees via the digital format that they can pull up on their smartphone, their computer, anytime, if they don't, they're not at their desk or they're not, they can pull it up anywhere from home or anytime, as well as they can print it if they would like a hard copy. That's available as well. So the document that you have tonight includes the suggested modifications for the next school year. Of course, the stricken text means that we're asking that to be removed, and then the red text is things we'd like to add. So I want to thank you in advance because I know the document's large, so I know it was a lot to go through. So I appreciate that, and I'm happy to answer any questions or discuss anything that you would like to talk about regarding the handbook.
Any questions?
I'm currently working with Dr. Mather, and our district to be more breastfeeding friendly for our employees and staff. So I have some suggestions or recommendations that we can add, just so that our breastfeeding moms will know exactly what breaks they can have and limitations. It has some general language concerning based upon this, limited that, but I would just like to work with you a little more, show you some policy, like some from Lawrence or Lathrop school districts that already have policies in place, so that we can have a policy for our breastfeeding staff.
Okay, absolutely.
I'll get you some information or language that other schools use to help formulate that area.
Sure.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mitchell. Mr. Thompson. Board, we're now ready for item C, and we ask that you approve the A201 and A133 agreements with McGow Gordon as the construction manager at risk for the new central kitchen, as submitted by Dr. Mather.
Thank you, Dr. Lane. Ms. Jones, good evening. Board members, good evening.
Evening.
I'm going to turn the mic over to somebody who knows more about this than I do, but per the last board meeting, the board approved the construction manager at risk for our new central kitchen, McGow Gordon. As I shared at the last board meeting, we would bring the contract before you. This is not an unfamiliar contract. I think you've seen this contract before, but Rob Turner from MVP is here. He's going to walk us through that contract and answer any questions for you. So, Mr. Turner.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Lane. As Dr. Mather mentioned, you've had this document in front of you before. I'll just give you a quick refresher of what it is, a couple of the pertinent sections, and then I'll entertain any questions or discussion you might like to have on it. There's actually two documents here. One is what you've heard us refer to as the A133 document. That is the agreement between the owner and construction manager as constructor for this project, which is the central kitchen. The second document is the A201 document, as you may have heard us refer to it as. These are the general conditions that go with the first document I mentioned. Those are essentially a set of definitions that go with it. That's the simplest way to describe it. Together, the two of them form the agreement with the construction manager. You may have heard this referred to as a construction manager at risk agreement throughout the process. Basically what that means is the basis of the payment for the agreement is the cost of the work plus a fee with a guaranteed maximum price. That guaranteed maximum price is worked out based upon the information that was submitted during the selection process, and the final number is added to the agreement by way of amendment if it is indeed approved. A couple of the relevant sections, just to highlight these for you. Article 2 covers the construction manager's responsibilities. That, again, discusses the guaranteed maximum price proposal that would be prepared, discussed, and then ultimately added to the agreement. The way it's broken down is that they put together the cost of the work, and the documents that came with the selection process outline their estimates of that at this point based upon the budget that was given. And then the addition to that would be the 2.15% fee for their services, and together those form that. They do have some ability in connection with that to self-perform certain aspects of the work, but they must follow the bidding process prescribed by Kansas statute, as would any other bidder, to do that work. And part of the reason that's in these agreements is because in its name and the way it's referred to as the construction manager at risk, it's inherent that the risk is on them to perform within the cost provided. And so that's why they do have the ability to bid on and perhaps perform some of the work themselves. After that, Articles 4 and 5 cover the compensation. As I mentioned, those track exactly with the Kansas fee form, which is attached to this and was a part of the proposal and selection process. We've verified that those numbers match up, and those remain the same as from when this was in front of you previously.
Could you clarify really quick on 2.24? You mentioned that they are required to perform services in the amount in which they bid. And then the contingency is they're not to exceed 10%. So that means they can go over that maximum bid by 10%. Is that a norm? 10% is the normal range?
Can you clarify which section you're looking at for me?
2.24 on page 5, at the bottom, the very last section, the very last paragraph on page 5.
So what that refers to, and we've had some discussions with them on this, there is a contingency that is included in the guaranteed maximum price proposal, and it's limited at 10%, but what that's intended to account for is unforeseen circumstances that may come up in connection with the work. It's a little bit of wiggle room that is in there so that they can come within the maximum price. If it is going to exceed that, you'll see reference to change orders there. It does have to go through the change order process to add additional services or additional work to the agreement that would exceed it.
So it's not an automatic 10%. They still have to submit the rationale for requesting extra money?
It's included within the price proposal that is added to the agreement. So it is built in, that 10%. So I guess it would be, it's an automatic 10% contingency that is included, but anything beyond that does have to be approved and discussed by change order.
So is 10% the normal amount that are on all our contracts?
That's common. We limited it to 10%. Sometimes they'll come out and propose more. I can't remember what the original figure was here, but we try and limit it at no more than 10%, and that's typical with these type of agreements. Have seen that with other districts as well.
Okay, thank you.
So other than those provisions, I think that mostly covers the pertinent information. There are certain additions we've made that go in a supplemental form that's attached that cover certain provisions because it is a agreement with the school district. Those are Exhibit C. That's some standard language that we add. And some of those address termination, what happens in the event of termination, if there's lack of funding, those types of things. I'm happy to discuss any questions you might have.
And on your document A201,
Yes.
on page 24, help me understand, what's this meaning of something that's highlighted in yellow? Page 24, A201, highlighted in yellow, 9.3.1.2.
9.3.1.2?
Excuse me, point 3. The highlighted in yellow. You don't have it highlighted?
It's not highlighted in yellow on my
Okay, so what's the
copy here.
meaning if it's highlighted in yellow?
I'm not certain why that one would have it highlighted in yellow, but that would have been something that was discussed. You can see the line there next to it. So I believe that would be a provision that was discussed with the construction manager in our process of going through this.
So is it being deleted, or is it?
No, it's correct. It's talking about the 5%
Correct.
retainage, correct?
Correct.
Yes, that provision's correct. That's something we discussed with them.
Okay. So anything in yellow is just yellow.
Would it be fair to say, Mr. Turner, that that's flagged for discussion, but it is ready for board action? I mean,
Yes.
I see it yellow on what they're looking at too, so.
That's right.
So we should take that off prior to final approval.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, ready for them
When is the project going to start? Just start?
We are likely to demo the existing kitchen in late summer, early fall, and probably start the actual construction, I believe right now, somewhere in the fall.
Architectural renderings have been completed?
I'm sorry?
Architectural renderings have been completed?
They're actually just now working with the architect. You all approved the architect's contract several months ago.
Right.
Now we have the CM on board. We had a meeting actually just last week. They've started kind of just conceptual, more schematic level designs, but we don't have design documents at this point. We will bring those forward to the board, though, when we get to that point. Yeah.
Ready for approval?
I move we approve.
Motion been made to approve. Did I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those are not approving? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Turner. Board, we're now ready for item D. That's why Dr. Mather's just staying at the podium. And we ask that you approve the Labor Max agreement for covering long-term absences and/or vacancies within the school site kitchens, as submitted by Dr. Mather.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Lane. This is an annual agreement that the district has engaged in for a number of years, providing temporary labor services specifically for our nutritional services department. All of the costs associated with accessing temporary labor is paid out of the food service budget, which is federally funded, not subsidized by the school district. Unfortunately, there tends to be a labor shortage, and they have been able to maximize and utilize Labor Max to provide temporary workers, either on a long-term basis, if in fact it's for a vacancy, or a long-term disability vacancy, and day-to-day absences as needed in order to maintain the efficiency of the operation of all of the school kitchens. The advantage that we have seen with Labor Max is that they do provide, obviously, they screen and vet all of their candidates, so they provide quality candidates for all of our kitchen areas. They complete all of the background checks and the pre-employment drug screen requirements. They're required to bring those documents to the district prior to starting in a position in any one of our schools. So it's nice to have all of that done. Another advantage that you'll see on that contract as well is that we actually have an opportunity to hire candidates right from Labor Max. Some pre-employment agencies do not allow that. In fact, will restrict that. There is a restriction. They have to work at least 580 hours or an 80-day billing cycle. Beyond that, we can actually hire them if an applicant expresses interest. Again, the advantage of that truly is that it's kind of a pre-screening for us as a school system as well. We can see, one, if the applicant works out and does a good job in that particular job, and the applicant also can see if it's something that they enjoy doing. And if so, and they express interest, we actually hire them. So it's kind of nice to have that done. So we've utilized this process for a number of years, and we just submit it to the board for approval for the next year, 18-19 school year.
Any questions? Can take for motion to approve.
So move.
I second.
Motion been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those not approving, hearing none, so ordered. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, ready for the consent agenda. What was it for?
Madam President, thank you. I'd like to pull item E like Early and J like Joe.
E and J. Any others? All right. Come on.
I move that we approve the consent agenda minus E and J.
Did I hear a second? Oh, I'm sorry, okay. Motion been made to approve the consent agenda minus E and J. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposing, hearing none, so ordered. Thank you. Payment of bills.
Move we pay our bills.
Second.
Motion been made and second that we pay our bills. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those not? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you. Now, the first one. Attorney-client. I need a motion for the board to recess an executive session at, how long, Greg?
Which one is?
Attorney-client privilege. I'm sorry, 30 minutes. I need to executive session for, at 6:15, and to come back out to discuss matters that would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship under the Kansas Open Meeting Act. The board will return to regular session at 6:45.